Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about a topic that we've discussed before. It's something that's been on a lot of people's minds. It's something that's affecting a lot of gun owners. And that topic is the ammo shortage. What happened to all the ammo, and is it ever coming back? I want to try to answer that question tonight as best I can, because it's something I'm being asked all the time. Now, there's good news and there's bad news. But before I get into that, I want to address the conspiracy theories. There's a lot of people that love to spread conspiracy theories, and in this case, they're still doing it. They're doing it in this case also. And one of the conspiracy theories going around out there is it's the government. The government's buying up all the ammo and drying up the supply, so that way when they come to get our guns, we won't have nothing to shoot at them with, out of our guns. And that is something I wouldn't put past the government. I wouldn't put it past them at all. Like I said, I will never defend the government as saying the government doesn't want to take our guns, because I think the government would love to rule over a defenseless population. But I don't think they see any way they can actually expediently take our guns right now without being drummed out of office. So I don't think this has anything to do with the government. In this case, that's just not what's happening. There's a shortage of ammo because of two things, sort of three, but definitely two things. One is the coronavirus. The second thing is that collectively the gun community has allowed themselves to be turned into a bunch of reactionary, pee their pants little pussy girls. And I hate to use girls as a derogatory term here, but I'm a sexist. Sue me. I'm not really a sexist. I'm girl power, but you know what I'm trying to make the point of. They're a bunch of pants-wetting little Nellies, let's just say that. Because every time someone goes boo, they run screaming into the night to buy up everything they can because they're panicked about what's going to happen, instead of dealing with things in a rational manner. Those are the reasons that ammo is short right now and why there's so much of it. And the third reason sorta is got to do with demand. Because right now, let me add all these things together to where it kind of makes sense. Right now, we're suffering under the coronavirus. A lot of people might be like, well, I went to Walmart. I don't see nothing any different now than it's ever been. I can still go to the Walmarts every day and blah, blah, blah. But manufacturing is being hit hard. A lot of manufacturing plants are not considered priorities. They're not considered essential. So they're told you can still be open, but you have to work with 1/3 the employees, and they got to be greater distances apart, and you can't run this much, blah, blah, blah. So it's really hurting their ability to produce at a normal level. But some of them are still managing to produce at a close to normal level, but still they're having really large shortages because of other things happening while they're having this difficulty in manufacturing. Because even if they can manufacture, well, the people who provide them their products, maybe they're having trouble with manufacturing also. So it's slower to get to the people making the bullets. It's a vicious cycle when you start having manufacturing slowdowns. That's one of the reasons there's a shortage. But they probably would have been able to keep up with most of the demand, and there would have been like a small shortage because of the coronavirus if we hadn't at the same time also had a lot of new gun owners. A lot of new gun owners out there are buying guns. And this is on top of, like I said, all the reactionary gun pussies who run out there and bought up all the ammo because they were told the sky is falling. Biden might get elected, or blah, 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 or the ATF's doing this, or the ATF's doing that, and everybody runs out and buys up all the ammo. Like I said, a bunch of reactionaries. That's one of the main reasons. But that kind of a third reason I was talking about is there's a lot of new gun owners. Millions of them. So those people are buying boxes of ammo. So if a normal manufacturer, if they said, well, we moved 10 million boxes of ammo in a quarter. This is just a weird example. I'm not saying this is an actual number. Well, if it's like, oh no, we're down to being able to make 9.5 million boxes in that time frame, we're going to be 500,000 boxes short. But some people will just buy less ammo. I guess we'll deal with it. But at the same time, the normal usage of ammo, which was normally a million boxes of ammo or 10 million boxes of ammo, has increased now by a great deal because all these people buying new guns are buying a box or two of ammo and are buying ammo to go to the range or keep for home defense, etc. So demand for ammo went up at the exact same time that production went down. You had gun owners that are already buying ammo at a regular rate, buying more because they're panicked. And then you had new gun owners adding on top of that, so even more was needed. So when the manufacturers, even though they're only producing a small bit less, their demand now has almost doubled. So that means ammo became scarce, which made people panic more and buy more ammo. And the people egged them on. The fearmongers egged them on. Because, angry, scared people watch a lot of videos and buy a lot of product. So they kept doing it. So that's why there's an ammo shortage. It's not because manufacturers have quit making it. It's not because the government is buying it up. The government buys their ammo at certain specific times, and manufacturers deal with that completely separate from their retail operations. So the problem is, like I said, already, people that already own guns and already shooting more and buying more. Actually, they're shooting less, but they're buying more. New gun owners who need at least a box or two of ammo to get started, that's millions and millions of boxes of ammo extra. And also, the fact that the coronavirus has reduced production a little bit. Shortage of materials has reduced production a little bit. If it hadn't have been for the coronavirus, if it hadn't been for the panic buying and the new gun owners because of the riots, etc., during the summer, we would have seen a slight reduction in ammo. But instead, we saw shortages because so many people out there buying. Now, if people hadn't been panic buying, we wouldn't have noticed as much of a shortage. We would have said, some things are a little hard to get right now, but manufacturers would eventually been able to pull up the slack. But because it all hit as a tsunami of worst case scenarios all at once, there's an ammo shortage. It has nothing to do with the government. Now, people asking for, when's it coming back? Because like I said, there's good news, there's bad news. Bad news is it's not coming back anytime real soon. As long as there's still a pandemic going on, which will be into late summer, maybe fall, you're going to see shortages. Until manufacturing is back up to full tilt, which is going to take a little while, even after materials start to flow, you're going to see some shortages. And as long as a bunch of little ninnies go out and keep panic buying and hoarding, you're going to see shortages. The good news is it is going to come back. And it is not a government plot. It's just something that's happening right now. So as long as everyone can... I haven't shot a gun in 2 weeks. Today will make 2 weeks since I've shot a gun. I usually don't go 2 days without shooting a gun. It's been 2 weeks now because I don't want to spend any more of my ammo. I don't want to expend any more of it. So not shooting. So if everyone just didn't shoot as much for a little while and waited for the market to calm back down from the new buyers, which is kind of a mixed bag because I want to see new buyers continuing to buy. So it's going to be a little problem. As long as all these things are going on, we're still going to see a little bit of shortages. Now, if it gets to where there's enough gun owners buying that it's a prolonged problem and manufacturers, well, then they'll increase what they put out. But here's the thing where a lot of people, when they say, why don't they just make more ammo? Well, right now they can't really make more ammo because of shortages of supply and demand and blah, blah, blah. But even if they could, even if they were at full production right now, they wouldn't increase how much they make. Because if they open a new line, invested in new tooling, etc., and then the run is over in 3 months, well, they go bankrupt because all the money they invested in that new tooling and new hires and everything else. So it's not financially beneficial. If I owned a bar, when I owned my bar, if like say I had a group of people coming in like the National Vodka Lovers Association of America scheduled an event at my bar on Sunday, and they came in, they drank up all my vodka and I ran out of vodka and they got mad because there's not more vodka, and they came back the next day and there's like, oh, we're still mad because there's not more vodka. That's an issue and that's a problem. But if the next day when the convention's over, I was like, triple my vodka order. Well, I'm going to go fucking bankrupt on vodka because that's over. They're not going to be there the next day to buy all the vodka. And I'm sitting on all this extra vodka. Just to kind of put it in a different light there. But like I said, good news, it's going to come back. It's not a long-term problem. It's a short-term problem. The bad news is it's not coming back real soon. And when it does come back, it's going to be a little bit slow and you're going to see a little bit of inflated prices for a while. But like I said, it will eventually get back to normal. All right, everybody, we're to the part of the show here where I get to talk about guns, which is my favorite part of the show, gun talk. And today I want to address a question from one of my viewers who asked me, hey, I'm going to buy my first 10 millimeter firearm. Should I get it in a revolver or should I get it in a semi-automatic gun? Well, I think everyone out there knows how I'm going to answer this. Because even though I love revolvers, if it's the caliber you're seeking, if you're wanting to get a gun into that specific caliber, 10 millimeter, then get the semi-auto. Because you're going to be able to get a higher capacity gun that shoots that 10 millimeter. And semi-autos nowadays are great, reliable guns. So if it's just that caliber you want to shoot, I think that caliber would be best served in a semi-auto. Because if you get a 10 millimeter revolver, that's a compromised revolver. If you're going to get a revolver, get it in .357 Magnum. There's no reason to go down to 10 millimeter in it. Unless you're someone who's like, I've only shot 10 millimeter, I only buy 10 millimeter, and that's all I have, and I want a revolver that'll shoot my ammo. That's an excuse to buy 10 millimeter. Or if your revolver is a backup for your semi-auto and you want to have your backup in the same caliber, that's a reason to buy a 10 millimeter revolver. But if you're just buying a revolver, .357 Magnum, over 10 millimeter any day of the week, it's just a superior round power-wise. And if you're only going to have 6 of them, you'll want the .357 Magnum. A lot of people will tell you, well, they're about the same. They are not about the same. You can pick powerful 10 millimeters and put them against low-end .357 Magnums and get about the same. But if you choose the best of both, .357 is going to blow it away. So go with .357 Magnum if you get a revolver. If you're going to buy a 10 millimeter and you want the best gun in 10 millimeter, get yourself something like a Glock 20 or a Smith & Wesson 10 millimeter pistol. I don't even know if they make a 10 millimeter pistol, so I don't know. But what I was meant to say was a Sig Sauer 220, a Pig 220. Get you something like that. Because if you're going to shoot 10 millimeter, you might as well have as many of them as you can, and there's no reason to buy a revolver if you're going to use 10 millimeter. So the answer to his question, like I've already told you, if you're going to buy your first 10 millimeter gun, you want to know what's better to buy, a revolver or semi-auto, it's definitely a semi-auto because that's what the round was made for, and it'll help you get the most out of that round. All right, next I want to answer a quick viewer mail here, and it's going to be a real easy question to answer. Someone sent me an email, actually several people have sent me emails, saying, why do I always check under the desk before I sit down at the beginning of the video? And I'm like, wow, I thought most people would know this, especially people that are supposed to be tactically prepared. When I come in and I look under the table, what I'm looking for is possums. I can't believe people aren't checking under tables for possums when they sit down. Possums don't like to be kicked in the face, so they don't take kindly to that when you sit down. So you don't want to sit down and hit a possum. So that's what I'm always looking for when I look under the table. I always thought most people would know that. I see people who are supposedly, oh, I'm so tactically aware, and I will look at both the doors, and I make sure my back's to the door, and blah, blah, or to the window, or to the wall, and blah, 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 when I sit down. But they don't even check for a possum under their table when they sit. I look at them, I'm like, amateurs. So that's what I'm looking for. Possums under the desk. Like I said, you don't want to run into an angry possum. It's just common sense to look for possums under your desk because possums love to get under desks and we love to sit at desks, and possums can be vicious. I once had to defend myself with a wiffle ball bat against a possum, and I almost didn't make it through the day. So that's another story to go into. But like I said, when I'm sitting down, what I'm looking for when I look under the desk for my own safety is I'm looking for possums. All right, I want to end the show as usual with our viewer EDC, and our concealed carrier of the day is Nate. And Nate is carrying his CZ P01 in his custom Savoy leather holster. And if you look at his P01, you can tell two things from that gold hammer. One, Nate is a very fancy man. And two, this gun has been Cajunized. He has sent this gun to Cajun Gun Works and had it worked over. And the P01 is a great gun in its own right, but when you add that to it, you have an awesome carry gun. So I'm very impressed with what he's carrying. How he's carrying it, not so much. Because if you look at his holster, what's it got on it? It's got a Mandalorian mythosaur skull on it. That's very nerdish. So you can tell that Nate is not only a fancy guy, he's a fancy nerd, a Star Wars nerd. And as a jock, I can't tolerate nerds. So I have to point that out to people. So when Nate sent me the email, he asked me to be called Not That Nate. I think we should probably call him Never Been Laid Nate based on that holster. Because like I said, who other than an uber Star Wars nerd would have even known what a mythosaur skull is? And obviously Nate does. So he is a very fancy man with his gold accents, and he is also a huge Star Wars nerd. That doesn't add up to a lot of tang. So, like I said, I think we'll change his name a little bit. So there you have it. There is Not That Nate, or as we like to call him, Never Been Laid Nate, with his custom Cajun Works CZ P01 in his custom, very nerdy Mythosaur Savoy leather holster. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back tomorrow. Until then, I want to remind everyone that this show is 100% viewer funded. I don't take advertising dollars. I don't take support dollars. I don't take sponsorship. So if you want to become a supporter of the channel, please do so. We need you as a supporter. If you want to see what this channel is about and what we do with the money we do get from supporters, go over and check out tympistolproject.com. There's a link in the upper corner of this video. If you like what we do, the charities we help, the programs we fund, then go over to patreon.com/The Yankee Marshal. There's also a link to that in the upper corner of this video, and become a patron. And with that being said, I'll sign off today, as usual, by saying, as far as the state of the world out there today is concerned, well, you know, it is what it is. But if we all keep level heads about us, we don't give in to the fear, we don't give in to the anger, and we ignore the fearmongers and the peddlers and the profiteers, what things will be in the future due to our efforts is better.